Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this session. In this part, we would be discussing about the employment situation or scenario in the rural areas, and we would also discuss about how is it related to the rural poverty. And towards the end of this video, I would show a graph which would make the concept of the rural poverty and its connection to the employment scenario. So now let us begin with the session. Talking about the employment situation, India has a total workforce of 47.41 crore as per the last survey of the National Sample Survey Office conducted in 2011 and 14. According to it, the total workforce is estimated at 47.41 crore, out of which 33.69 crore were rural workers and 13.72 crores were urban workers. In the rural areas, 35.3% of the workers are employed as casual laborers, while the figure is 14.6% in the urban areas. The estimated number of unemployed persons as the usual status varied from 1.08 crore during 2004 to 2005 to 0.95 crore during 2009 to 10 and 1.06 crore during 2011 and 12. Now, talking about the employment situation and the rural poverty. So, the living standards critically depend on employment opportunities and effectiveness of jobs to generate earnings. So, open unemployment rates are low in India at 2.5 and 5.3% in rural and urban areas, respectively. Rather, a sign of abundant employment opportunities, particularly in rural areas. Such low unemployment rate confirms the well-known dictum that the poor cannot afford to be unemployed and suggests that the low labor force participation might be a critical issue. So India's employment rate, that is the proportion of population that actually works, is indeed very low. So it is low among men, but it is particularly low among women also. The rate for males is 55% regardless of the area, whereas the female rates are 33% and 17% in rural and urban areas respectively. So having a job or being in possession of land does not ensure a way out of poverty. We need to understand this point very briefly and exactly so that it is relevant. So wages were and are low in rural areas, that we all know, and they are particularly low for the women. So at the extreme, the mean wage of a female illiterate living in rural area is less than one-tenth of the mean wage of a male worker with a university education living in a city. So, in a country where the majority of people are still working in agriculture, low agricultural productivity is an important determinant of poverty. Rural workers either work as employees in farms for a low wage or squeeze a living out of small and low quality land holdings. Employment has been an important consideration in the Indian economic policy discourse. However, its importance in the narrative of policies has lagged behind its relevance in the development plans. During the initial decades of development planning, the goal of achieving the maximum possible economic growth and the complementary special consideration for the labor intensive small enterprise sector were expected to substantially improve the employment conditions, but it was not the case. So the growth of small enterprise sector was encouraged by reserving the production of certain goods to this sector and by providing fiscal concessions. Aside from these policies, employment generation was effectively treated as a side outcome of policies promoting growth and the change in the production structure. So, in the face of persistently poor living conditions in rural areas, the government added to the small toolbox of employment minded policies the design and the implementation of employment generation programs with a specific focus on low income groups. The seventh five-year plan, that was from 1985 to 1990, and the ninth five-year plan, that was from 1997 to 2002, clearly identified productive employment generation as one of the major objectives of the plans. But the overall policy approach to job creation was largely residual. So the job creation policy supplementing the plan's emphasis on growth included the promotion of labor intensive sectors and the two major employment creation programs, that is the Sampoon Gramin Rozgar Yojana and the National Food for Work program. So now, as I said, I would be showing you all a graph which would make the concept of the employment situation and rural poverty very clear. So now I would be showing the picture. So I hope all of you are able to view the left hand side of the screen, that is the employment situation in rural India. So we would be taking the example of three cases where the brown line indicates self-employed, the blue line indicates regularly employed, and the green line indicates the casual employed. So first talking about the self-employed people, in 1983 their percentage was approximately 18%. With 1987 and 88, it rose down to 20%. And in 93 and 94 also, it was somewhere close to 20%. In 99 to 2000, there was a small increase by 1%, that is 21%. And towards 2004 and 2005, that percentage fell again, and it was approximately equal to 18% of employment. Now talking about the regularly employed percentage, in 1983 and 1987 to 88, it was approximately near 10%. Similarly, in the case of 1993 and 94, it was again stuck at 10%. But now when we talk about 1999 to 2000, prior to it, there was a slight decrease that was approximately to 8%, but again it rose up to 11% of employment. And lastly, towards the 2004 and 2005, the huge positive that we could see from this graph is like it rose to more than 40% of employment, representing the people that are regularly employed. Now, talking about casually employed people. So, in 1983, the percentage was 10%. In 1987 to 88, it stood at approximately 12 to 13%. Again, in 93 and 94, it fell down to 10%. And in 1999 and 2000, again, it was slightly mere about 11%. And 2004 to 2005, this period saw the maximum growth in terms of casual employed people, and the percentage was approximately to 18%. So with this, we come to the end of the video. I hope that the connection between the employment situation and the rural poverty is clear now, as there were a lot of figures involved. So you can kindly refer to the graph, which we would be sharing after the end of the presentation with all of you, so that it becomes easier for you to go through the content once again. Thank you so much.